I love the Lord. And for people who love the Lord, our most sacred text is the Bible. Okay. And I have just stumbled upon a Bible that is rooted in the doctrine of the Confederacy. And so this is, I'm going to walk this real slow because this is a really, really, really important conversation. It is a deep teaching and it is an important one, specifically for my sisters in success and the brothers who love us. Hello, I'm Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and today we are going to have a committed conversation about the marketing of the Bible as a tool for the cult of white supremacy. Now, let me say a couple of things before I go all the way in on this one, because this is one that takes some doing. I'm going to ask everybody for your patience up front because it's fresh. I'm going to ask everybody for their grace up front because it's sensitive, okay? And if you are a person who believes in the Lord, who loves God, I request that you be very, very, very kind, okay? I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I don't want you to agree with me. I want you to get your own revelation. That is why I put my source material in the notes. Read it for yourself, okay? Don't take my word for it. You are a brilliant woman. I don't need you to believe me. I need you to be a thinking woman. I need you to think through these ideas so you can set yourself free, okay? And for my brothers who love us, for my allies who love us, I love you. I beseech you. I'm glad you're here. You might as well go ahead and start tagging people. Go ahead and start sharing because I'm being shadow blocked. We must be doing something right? And it's not personal. It's just that progress is happening and some people don't like it. And it's okay that they don't like it. That doesn't stop us. Does that make sense? That doesn't stop me. So one of the things I'm doing to prepare for the shadow is I have included at the top of this particular notes, and top of this post, I have included a link because they already took down some of my stuff, bless their hearts. And I'm not mad at them. It is their platform. That's why we need our own. So don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't ever get mad. Take it as data. It's like, ooh, this is more evidence that God is saying to me, Dr. Venus Oparis, I'm building you an ark. God is building me an ark. I'm getting a digital ark, right? So don't get mad. Thank God that we get the heads up. You know what I'm saying? What was I going to say next? So please, there's a link. Go ahead and get on my list. Subscribe. It says app link. I put it right at the top so that you can find it. Because if they do decide to ban me or take my stuff down or shut me down, you can still get the information. I'm going to do a whole deep dive on these teachings. I call them my emotional and economic emancipation teachings, okay? And they're going to be on my platform, all right? So don't worry about it. Don't get mad. Don't do that. Frederick Douglass didn't get mad. He just wrote some more. The boys didn't get mad. He just wrote some more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to write some more. I'm going to talk some more. So don't hold it heavy. Please don't. It's not serious. That's just people doing people stuff. That's just God saying we need our own space. It's like moving out your mama's house. You know, she's like getting up in your business, trying to see. No, it's time to leave. It's time to get your own space. So don't hold it heavy. But to stay connected, please go to the link I subscribed. My app link. And subscribe to my list. You'll be on my email list. You'll get notifications of the launch dates. I'm doing a pre-launch. We go live in the fall. And if I don't tell you this now and I get disappeared, you won't know what to do. So I'm going to start mentioning that a lot more because I don't know if they may take this one down. We don't know. Okay. And I'll have my team move it over to YouTube as well so you can have the visual. So some people listen to it, the podcast. Some people like to watch while I talk. Okay. So be at peace. Don't be upset. Know that God is working. And this is what it looks like when it was working. The world says not used to a black woman who speaks her mind unapologetically. And I'm not mad at them. I just love you. And so I started sticking to it. Okay. So with that being said, girl, you don't even begin to know. Let me tell you what had happened. I was minding my black business, being my ever-loving, fabulous self, talking to my mom. Nana is 76 years old. We were talking about something. And she was the one who told me about the Confederate Bible. I'm like, what? You lie, you lie, you lie. I had to call my aunt who's in her 80s, then call my cousin who's in her 60s, and they're all in the South. And so I'm like, what? That's impossible. It can't possibly be a Confederate Bible. Well, there is one, okay? And what I can't unpack it all here, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna read some stuff to you so you can understand why this is important to you as a Black woman, okay? But first, let me give you an understanding. It's the King James Version of the Bible, but what they did was they didn't take anything out. They added stuff to it. Now, there's a slave Bible that I've also included a link for you to find out about it, and I'm gonna read you some stuff about some of this stuff so that you can hear the logic, and I'll walk you through why this is important. But the main thing is, this Bible is called the Spirit of Liberty Bible, a Holy Bible, okay? The Spirit of Liberty, Holy, and it's a gorgeous Bible. I want y'all to know it's beautiful. It is beautiful. For all of us Bible babes, this is a pretty fucking Bible, okay? It is gorgeous, okay? And what they've done, which is really quite lovely, is, let me tell you what the seal says. The seal says, a past to remember, a future to mold. Well, I don't know if you understood that, but it's profound because they built this to mold the future, to mold future generations, to mold their children, okay? And that's where the daughters of the Confederacy come in, all right? We'll get into that in a moment, all right? But the main thing I want you to understand about this particular Bible is that it has all the King James in it. It has pictures in it of all beautiful Western, European, white pictures, gorgeous artwork. But this is the thing you need to understand that makes this Bible specifically profound. When you open it, I wish God, when I get my platform, I'm gonna do a deep dive on this. Right now I'm going to start the conversation. But when you open it and you go through it, when you just open it up, okay? Okay. It says the publishers feel that it is fitting and proper that a book most responsible for what is best in the American spiritual heritage should be accorded its rightful place in our national observance of the 200th anniversary. Hence, the special commemorative Freedom Edition Holy Bible, which is intended to honor our God and identify with our country's greatest single purpose, to remain a free people. Now, this is what you need to know. No, go ahead and share it. This is important. The Confederate perspective of the Civil War, okay, is that it wasn't about slavery. It was about state rights. That is their fundamental tenet, okay? The fundamental argument for the Confederacy is that they weren't fighting over slavery. They were fighting over the right to have slavery. In my opinion, that seems like you're fighting over slavery, but for them, there's a distinction. They felt like Abe Lincoln was like forcing their hand and taking away their money. And he was, as the president, okay? He was trying to unify the colonies, right? But the thing is, in order to do that, that meant that literally in terms of representation in Congress, the South had more bodies. So if you have Black bodies, and they're trying to count the Black bodies so they can get more representation in Congress. The way that the North circumvented that was saying you can't really count all the slaves because they're not citizens. So they came up with 3/5. That told that 3/5 law, which is 3/5 of the population of Black people, can be counted as a body. Okay, every three out of 5 can be counted as one vote. Okay, so you need to understand that when they say that, they're positioning it as political. They're taking it out of religion and they're positioning it as political. And they have a lot of things in it that do exactly that. For example, one of the things that they do that I think is amazing is they're organizing this Bible, okay, around combining patriotism with religion. Okay? Now, y'all remember this whole thing about separate church and state? Not this Bible. Not this Bible. Not this Bible at all. This Bible has both. And the way that they do it is they start the Bible off first with the family register. So as a Black people, we don't know our heritage. We don't know our people. I don't know my mama, daddy. I don't know my daddy's daddy. I don't even know my daddy, right? So if someone asks me what's my bloodline, or like who is my father and my father and my father, I don't have a family tree because I'm a black woman in America. I don't have that history, but they do. So they actually document the certificate of marriage. They document the husband's genealogy, the wife's genealogy, the children's records, the other children's records, major events in the family. And then they go to, check this out, then they go to this passage. I should read it. The presidents of the United States have played significant roles in the history of the country. Perhaps, not surprisingly, these roles have often been colored by the spiritual insight of the particular man. Although in many cases the influences may seem to be indirect, the Bible, by being the major factor in shaping the spiritual understanding of most of the men who have held the highest office in the land, has exerted a strong force in the formation of America. The brief biographies of the presidents are considered in this light. So what they did was they took every president from George Washington all the way to Lyndon Johnson, colored photos, colored paintings with a biography about them, acknowledging them as the president, but also positioning them as God's messengers. Now, here's the irony of this. America was founded on the idea of freedom. If you think about the Boston Tea Party, when they threw the tea, that's damaging property. They threw the tea in the water. That was dissension. That was they saying, England, you ain't got no right to tell us what to do. You're a tiny island on the other side of the world. How you gonna tax us on our tea? And so they did property damage. They did it with water. They didn't do it with fire. Okay? And they were saying, no, man, we're not doing this. You can't just run us. And so England tried to put the Swedes on them. And they said, oh, hell no. And then they got into a fight. They declared their independence. Then they went to war. Okay? Now, the irony of that, this is what's crazy, is they were trying to get away from tyranny and oppression. But then they actually modeled the tyranny and oppression they left. So they have positioned the presidents as kings, as monarchs, ordained by God to a certain degree. So is that making sense? I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. All right? And so what makes this so salient is that principle of staying free, of being free, didn't apply to slavery. It applied to them being able to do what they wanted to with our bodies. But when the federal government said, "No, son, you can't do that. And if you continue to do this, I'm going to have them get free to handicap you." And of course, the South Flex said, you can't do that to us. We know who he is. And Abe said, watch me. And he tried to negotiate because he wanted to end the war. He didn't want to go all the way ugly with it, but they flexed. He had to flex harder. I understand. Okay, so when he emancipated black people or enslaved people, he was literally trying to handicap the South from having all the free labor that could do a lot of menial stuff in terms of the war and keep it going. He was trying to stop the war. He was not helping black people. Be very clear. It was not altruistic. It was strategic. No harm, no foul. I'm not tripping off that. Oh, it's fine. As a strategist, I respect the game. All right. Well, the Confederacy, they ain't like that. They felt like they were being bossed around, and their people had left England, so they couldn't be bossed around, right? And so what they did, and I'm saying it light so you don't carry it heavy. This is what happened that's so important to you, my sister. Okay? And hear my word on this. And well, let me say this before I tell you that, because I want to make sure. Oh God, I hope you get this. I want to make sure this makes sense. Not because it's confusing, but because it's so rich. I want to make sure I get it in. Okay? So everything I'm talking about, the slave Bible was in the 1800s. It was used to justify slavery. It was used to help slaves behave themselves. Whole nother conversation. Can't get into that right now. The Confederate Bible happened in the 1900s. Okay, it was after the Revolution. It's a whole doctrine. It's an indoctrination. It's like the Bible becomes a marketing tool for white supremacy. It's a cult. All right. Now, here's the thing that's salient: is that there's a group of chicks, badass women, in my opinion. For all intents and purposes, I raise my glass to them. They're called the Daughters of the Confederacy. They were mostly teachers. Okay, and their husbands died fighting for the Confederate side. They didn't like how these men were being portrayed. Okay, they didn't like it. They said, you know what? We ain't good with this. Not at all. We need to do something about it. So what they did was they started to campaign for raising money. They got organized. They started campaigning for money to build memorials to show these men as patriots. Notice the language, as good citizens, as good godly men. Okay? And the reason why they were able to get the funding is because the North, being punk asses, when Abe got dead, all right, they forgave all the Southerners who received who praised war from the South. They said, you know what, let's call it swear. You know what, not a problem. I know we had a squabble, but let's make it all good. So they didn't hold them to account. And they took the troops out of the South without implementing any of the stuff that was supposed to be implemented for I can't remember, millions of slaves who got free. So when they took the military presence out of the South to keep slaves safe, that's when Reconstruction got messy. That's when, oh, hell no, KKK got born. Oh, hell yes. This is when the Daughters of Confederacy got real strategic and started raising money to build monuments to honor their men. Now, what makes it salient is all those monuments was put in religious places, in memorials, in churches, in schools, in places that had civic accountability, civic, patriotic positioning, okay? And so let me read you a little bit about my girls, the daughters of the Confederacy. And don't hate on them, respect the game, okay? Because what there is to know is how powerful women are. And I think that what we slept on is that they did it on the hush. See, when you talk about the Daughters of Confederacy, they're never talked about as teachers. They're talked about as socialites, and that's intentional. That way, they don't seem like they're a threat, but they are handling things. Okay, and so hold on, I want to get to the right. Hold on, I got a lot of things open. Okay, so girl, let me just come up here and just read this. Okay, so the United Daughters of the Confederacy is an American hereditary association of women engaged in the commemoration of Confederate Civil War soldiers, the funding of monuments to them, and the promotion of pseudo-historical lost cause ideology and white supremacy. It was established in 1864 in Nashville, Tennessee. In early 1900s, the organization openly applauded the Ku Klux Klan and funded the building of a monument to the Klan in 1926. The UDC was labeled as a neo-Confederate by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The group's headquarters is the memorial. That doesn't matter. Okay, so I want to get you to the part that I need you to hear. There's two pieces I want to make sure you hear before I go on to tie it all together. Okay, let me see, where is it? They were amazing women. They did scholarships. They did everything. They did everything they could for their men. Let's just put it like that. Okay. But what makes them infamous is the work they did with the children. Girl, you remember I told you, or you know about the slave Bible and how they didn't want us to read and stuff like that? There was a reason for that. The way that these chicks did their thing was that they created a different narrative about the Civil War, why it happened, and what the point was, and they taught it to their children. Okay, let me see if I can get this. So there is this thing called the Catechism of the History of the Confederate State of America. Is 1861 through 1865. It was written by a scholar, Lyndon Gardner Tyler. Okay, and here's the code. Here's the creed. Because we desire to perpetuate in love and honor the historic deeds of those who enlisted in the Confederate services and upheld its flag through 4 years of war, we, the children of the South, have united in the organization called the Children of the Confederacy, in which our strength, enthusiasm, and love of justice can exert its influence. We therefore pledge ourselves to preserve pure ideals, to honor the memory of our beloved veterans, to study and teach the truth of history. Okay. One of the most important of which is that the war between the states was not a rebellion, nor was it underlying cause to sustain slavery, and always to act in a manner that will reflect honor upon our noble and patriotic ancestors. Okay, they took out the phrase nor was it its underlying cause to sustain slavery was deleted in 2015. Okay, now I just want to read this real quick, and then I'm gonna break it all, make it all make sense. All right. So I just want to make sure I get all the pieces in. So the Confederate Catechism, is a sacred text. So it's something you see people use in the Bible. It's something you see in religion where they have these questions and answers, and it's designed to indoctrinate you. And this is what the children from the children of Confederacy had to read and learn and memorize. This is one of, I'm just going to read a little bit of it so you can get it. What was the cause of secession 18? No, let me find one that's even better. Let me do this one. It's shorter. Was slavery the cause of secession of the war? No. Slavery existed previous to the Constitution, and the Union was formed in spite of it. Both from the standpoint of the Constitution and sound statesmanship, it was not slavery, but the vindictive, intemperate anti-slavery movement that was at the bottom of all the troubles. I want y'all to hear the wording. I don't know if you've noticed, but then whenever you bump into people who are in my perspective, in my estimation, who are white supremacists and don't know they get very legalistic about their arguments. They're saying this says that it wasn't slavery that was the cause of all the trouble. It was the vindictive, intemperate anti-slavery movement that was at the bottom of all the troubles. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they're saying that abolishing slavery was the problem, not slavery itself. That is the rub, because in their world, and I have so many things I want to share with you, but I can't in this because I want to keep it short. They have so many different ways to articulate that slavery never really happened, that we liked it, that we were happy in slavery, we were eating watermelon, we were singing and dancing, and they wrote it in their textbooks. So you take this particular document, it's only 5 pages. Okay, I put the link down there, read it for yourself, get your own revelation. You combine that with the Daughters of the Revolution, who are putting in textbooks, and to save money, they didn't just print them for the South, they print them for everybody. Okay, those textbooks have in it different stereotypes about Black people that make it look as if we're lazy, we're trifling, we're stupid, we're savages, that the masters were good to us and that we needed their help, all of this type of stuff, right? And the point of it is this. When the Daughters of the Confederacy wrote the textbooks speaking about slavery as if it was a genteel, benign, parent-child, simpleton to master relationship, it trained everybody afterward to write about us that way, to do movies about us that way, to talk about us that way, to do pictures about us that way. Everything they did was designed. And here's what I want you to hear, my sister. They weren't talking to us. They didn't do all that for us. They did it for them. They did it for poor white people. They did it for working class white people. They did it for lower middle class white people. And let me help you understand what I mean. You and I have been fighting the wrong war. We've been trying to get equality. We've been trying to get some equal justice, right? That's not how it's built. The way that it's built is that you and I are not human. Now, I want to be very clear. Any white supremacist or anyone who's raised in this particular paradigm will never see it. So don't argue with them about it. Let them say their piece. They have a right to it. But if you look at the data and you look at the education and you look at the books that have been circulated and you look at what's been kept out, if you look at the representation that has been circulated for generations in which their children were reading about how slavery never happened, that it was a benign institution, that we liked it, that we're just being victims because the North, because the leftists are telling us lies and we're sheep. The reason they're saying that is because of this shit. Okay? So when you and I talk about racism, it's not real for them because as far as they're concerned, race didn't happen. There was no slavery. It was just, a working situation that got a little out of hand, and and it makes me, you can just hold a light note on it. I'm making light of it so you don't get all frustrated and mad, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is this. We as a people, we keep thinking about equality, talking about freedom. We keep talking about inclusion and diversity and all of this stuff. What I need you to understand is they can never hear it because they've been indoctrinated into whiteness, which is a cult. They will never call it that because they don't see themselves that way. But when you combine the fervor of religion and you make your presidents your God, and you listen to them like they are the voice of God, like the King of England was the voice of God. You have the president as the voice of God. And I'm talking about the white ones. I'm not talking about Obama. Because he's black or half black, they didn't see him and relate to him the same way they did Trump. And there's nothing, I'm not tripping off of it. I don't have any dog in that fight. The only dog I have in the fight is you. You and I have been lied to so much, and we've been misled so much, and we have been kept out of the loop so much that finding out this new information makes it all make sense. And the reason it makes sense is because their fervor is religious fervor. You know how you and I get frustrated and it passes? When they get frustrated, and I'm talking about the extremist. I'm talking about the extremist of white supremacy, of white privilege. I'm not talking about the ones who are just ignorant and misinformed. I'm talking about the ones like, oh, you don't agree with me, and they bomb a fucking church. I'm talking about that group. Okay? You don't like me, or you think you're somebody, and then they go shoot up a school. Those are the groups I'm talking about. Okay? So I'm not suggesting that every white person who has white skin is an extremist. I'm saying they have the potential to get an understanding about why this is going down that way. And I'm clear there are some white people who are very woke, who are doing their thing to become anti-racist, who are doing their thing. And I respect that. So please do not think I'm saying all white people are evil or I hate all white people. I have no such passion. Okay, the only passion I have is for black people being free, having our own money, and being able to take care of our families. That's all I care about. All right. But I want you to understand how deep this goes. You and I keep talking to them like we're in the same world, and they're in a different world. They've been cultivated in such a way that they can't even hear a black person speak, not with the same authority as a white one. And they don't think so, which is why they come onto our platforms, come into our space, and start telling us how we're wrong. Do you understand how privileged and how arrogant you have to be to come to somebody else's house and explain to them how they're wrong? White privilege. They really think they have a right to, because they were cultivated to believe that they have the rights of God, that they're right because God said so. And then you put another piece in that's important to note. America is founded on Puritanism. It's founded on morality. So you know how you hear them talking bad about George, like, oh, he was a drug addict, or he was a bad man, or he deserved. All of that that's the indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that they argue their fight is not based on circumstances or environmental factors or trauma. They base their arguments on morality. That is the basis of their arguments. And they'll start saying, oh, you're a bad person, you're ugly, you're mean, you're nasty. That's all based in good, bad, right, wrong morality. Never mind that the circumstances impacted the behavior. I was thinking about the young lady, Richardson, the track runner, whose mother just died. And she smoked legalized marijuana, okay? And she wasn't able to participate because they have a law for people who compete in the Olympics. They have a different law that she didn't know about. Okay, she knew about what she knew about, and she acknowledged that. And she was coping with the loss of her mother. She found out, she got blindsided by a reporter who told her in the middle of an interview that her mother was dead. And so she had a week to get ready to go do the trials for the Olympics. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm taking in the factors of her mother dying, the pressures of performance, being 21, being young. I'm considering all of that because I am looking from the perspective of her as a whole person. If you look at some of the comments, you'll have white people and some black people too, but I'm talking primarily about white people who are saying, well, she didn't do the rules and she should have, and we don't want to be known. They're talking about the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. Okay, so what they're looking at isn't the environmental factors. They don't really care about your feelings. They don't care about the fact that your mother just died. They don't care that my brother died from COVID and I couldn't get to him. They don't care about that. They don't care. I'm a racist because I don't agree with them. And they go so far, so quick. You're a racist. You're a racist. No, that's not an insult to me. because I don't have it doesn't mean the same to me as what it means to them. But when someone says they're racist, that looks bad to themselves. So they have a real charge around that word. I don't have that charge. I know I can't be a racist because I ain't got it. I don't have the systematic power to enforce my will. So I don't take it seriously. But the point is they do. And so when you actually are dealing with them, you have to keep in mind you're dealing with a person who's been brainwashed. And they will never see that. So don't even argue with it. They can't see it because whiteness hides itself. What you can point to is the behaviors. When they come on and start talking like they know, and they come on with an attitude, and they start saying bad things, they feel like they have a right to talk down to us, especially as Black women. How dare we speak up? How dare we respond? How dare we say no? How dare we not want them to engage? How dare, who do I think I am? That's the fundamental conversation. It's like, and then I must be dumb or stupid or where I get my degree from. I'm like, I have 2 degrees from Stanford. How about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. And he's like, well, you talk like a street person. I'm from the fucking streets. What else would I do? I know, like, it's so funny to me that they want us to fit into their mode. And when we don't, what gets questioned is their authority. Because as far as they're concerned, they are the authority. And we are not. And if we're speaking up, if I am speaking up and speaking my truth, I am literally calling into question their ordained authority from God. Now, that's not my truth. That is what that's what they've been indoctrinated in. And because it's so invisible to them, they can't see it. They're like, no, this is the truth. No, the truth is a truth, not the truth. Be very clear. And if you don't know that, you're going to be arguing, fighting, trying to get ahead with a group of people who, with some exceptions, be mindful, some exceptions, but for the most part, have no genuine interest in helping you get free. It's in their self-interest that you not. And so it's not a surprise I'm being shadow banned. It's not a surprise they're taking down my videos. It's not a surprise I'm being reported because I'm not playing by the rules. I'm not staying in my place. I'm not being a good nigga. How dare I speak up? How dare I know the Bible and how dare I be educated? Oh my God, what was I thinking? Okay, I was supposed to be quiet, but I'm not being quiet. And you shouldn't either. You don't have to be ugly to speak up. You can speak up without talking down. I demonstrate it all the time. I do it all the time. And I want you to be very clear. You are talking to people who are brainwashed. And if you keep talking to them like they're logical and reasonable, you're going to keep expecting equality. And there's no such thing in their world. They will not make you equal, sis. Try it. Look in your real life. Don't take my word for it. Get your own revelation. Look to see how much money you get paid. Look to see how much grace you get. Look to see how, just in the Olympics, Black women can't even get a swim cap to deal with the thickness of our hair because the images and the arguments that they have circulated worldwide, it's all over the place. So I want you to be clear that while it looks like, as it might look like I'm talking about white supremacy, I'm not. I'm talking about you. But I have to go through them to get to you because you and I have been so misled. I mean, we really have been thinking that there's a such thing as we could probably, equality could happen. It can't, not in this paradigm. Because as every time we get to a certain level, and I'm not talking about individuals. We can have a LeBron. You see what I'm saying? We can have one LeBron, one Oprah, one Michael Jackson, one Michael Jordan. But notice they have a bunch of Bill Gates. You see what I'm saying? Notice they have a bunch of tech startups. Notice they have a bunch of businesses. They have all that, but we don't. And they want to say, oh, well, y'all have a lot of Black millionaires. But if we count them, they have more. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying all that to say that you're not crazy. They cannot be reasoned with until they take on their own racism, their own entitlement. Until they take it on, there's nothing you can do with that. There really isn't. And you can't expect them to hear you or see you or support you unless it's in their self-interest. That's not bad. Everybody does things in their self-interest, but they do it with power. So if you have someone who is in power, who favors you, that's their self-interest. Whether it's their sense of self, how they see themselves, their religion, their practice, I'm down for whatever. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying don't misunderstand it for love and affinity. Don't misunderstand it. There's something in it for them. So you can always pimp the system. I'm here for it all day, every day. You know how I do. But I want you to understand that they use the Bible as a marketing tool, and it worked. It worked. So we're dealing with we're dealing with the what is it? The residue, the implant, the how can God help me say it pretty? You and I are living at the effect of the educational indoctrination of whiteness to actually maintain and manage white people, European descent, to relate to themselves as better than black people so that they can be controlled. As long as poor white people or uneducated white people can be better than a black person, white people don't have to give up their money. They don't have to be equitable. It's not required. They don't have to be. You see what I'm saying? Because there's no demand. It doesn't you if you I'm going to say this, let me say it one more time. The forefathers and the politicians from the Reconstruction era were in the hundreds. Then how do you control the thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of white people? You control them by having white be more valuable than being Irish, being Italian, being Slavic, being German. You have white equal better. You have white equal power. And in order to have white equal power, you have to have something to have power over, to be better than. And you tie it with religion and you put it in your schools and you put it in your Bible. So when you see your white Jesus, when you see the presidents next to the Jesus picture in the Bible, you equate them in terms of subconscious. Okay? And if you look white and they look black and white is good and black is bad, you're justified. But it's all designed for white people. It's their miseducation. It's designed to keep them in place. And as long as white people don't know that, they'll keep thinking we're being victims. They're like, oh, they're just victimized. They don't know we've been victimized. That's not the same as being a victim. Not the same. Speaking about race, speaking about history doesn't make one a victim. It makes one aware. Okay? So what I want you to understand is you're dealing with a invisible cult, fanatical doctrination that they don't even know they have. But you can see by the fervor with which they respond how deep they are in it. So when they say their stuff and when they post their things, don't engage. Watch and learn. Watch and learn. They always tell you the truth about their character. And some of them are Christian. Some of them actually say, I love God, but you're the devil. I'm like, you give me a lot of power. Okay, thanks, I think, Christian. Okay, but that's what I'm trying to say. They feel like they have a right to say it. They don't feel like I or you as a black woman have the right to say anything that they don't agree with. And then they attack. And then they try to blacken your name or my name. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they've done historically, not just here, but look at what they've done to every black person who has had a commitment to moving the race forward, our race, and they have opinions. Okay? Now the good news is because the times are changing, thank you God, we were born in a time of change, right? Because the times are changing, we have technology. Okay, I can reach the world with this microphone. I reach millions of people now. Okay, thank you to white people who felt the need to be mad at me. Thank you for making me famous. I tried to tell them, they kept doing it. But I reach millions of people each week, all right? And because I'm building my own platform, as soon as it's built, I'm going to move my stuff off of these platforms and move it onto my own so we can go all the way in. I can't give you the deep teachings here, but I can get you started, okay? But I have a whole curriculum around money making, around healing history between black men and black women, around emancipation, emotionally, economically, mentally. All of that, I'm going to put it on my own platform so I can make sure you and I win, and we win we win in the way that America works. We win not by marching, but by monetizing, because America is built on capitalism, and we haven't put our attention on creating our own infrastructures. We put our attention on having them accept us, and they never fucking will. They will only to a certain degree. Only to a certain degree. And they'll say that we are the problem, that we're lazy, that we're trifling. No, we're not. We're not. That is not the truth of us. If anything, we're misinformed, we're kept in the dark, and we don't get access to the tools that we would need to actually win at the level of community. So my intention is to train us up. My intention is to give us the access, the safe space to tell the truth without being attacked, to go through the heat of it, get it out, say the piece, do everything, and really learn from each other and be able to make our own money. Okay? So that is the connection. So I want you to know that. I ran a little longer today because I wanted to get a lot of points in. And I just want you to know, sis, I love you. I'm willing to deal with the slings and arrows of all the hate that they're throwing, okay? Because they're throwing daggers right now, right? But I would rather do that and reach you than be quiet and let them continue to say that we're nothing, that we're not worth anything, that we're stupid, that we're dumb, that we're lazy, that they can come in and use our bodies and our voice and our creativity and our ingenuity for what they want. I'm not okay with that. So I'll go through the slings and arrows for you because you're worth it, sis. You're worth it. And that's good. That's it for me. You are everything. You are the Alpha and the Omega, girl. You are the beginning and the end. You are the head and not the tail. You are God wrapped in flesh. You are everything that's good about the world. And I need you to remember who you are, no matter what they said or what they say or what they're going to say. What they say has no credence because they are not you. They don't know you. They don't know your story. They don't know your walk. They don't know your pain. They don't know your cross. They don't know your cross. So I don't give people authority to have any impact on me who don't know me. And they couldn't possibly know me. So there's no reason to listen to them with any authority. They just think they have authority because they have white skin and they have white privilege. And I don't care if they have some black friends. I don't care if they have mixed race babies. None of that is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is systemic racism, privilege, access, and the right to have my own voice heard. You are a black woman with a destiny. You are a black woman with a destiny. God has already said you are everything that he needs you to be. Your job is to stand. And I'm building a platform for you. Okay? So please do not get discouraged and don't back down. Stand your peace. You can stand your peace in dignity. Dr. King stood in dignity, so did Harriet in dignity. You don't have to call them names. That reveals they're ugly. That reveals the devil in them. Okay? When they start calling names and being ugly and cursing you out, all that kind of stuff, that's them. That's the devil. That's the devil in them. So you don't have to dance with the devil. God got that battle. Okay? Just walk with me, stay with me, grow with me, share this word. If you were fed by this word, it's like giving word, it's like affirming word, please pay it forward. Sharing is caring. No one is talking about the stuff I'm talking about on social media. No one. No one. And we're hungry for it. Because if I can get us to shift from emotional and personal to structural, we can, honey, we'll have generational wealth within the next 5 years because we can leverage technology. And that is the game, to leverage technology on our own terms, our voice, our way. Okay? So know that I love you, sis. Know that I love you, bro. I know you're here. Thank you for loving on me. I love you, allies. Thank you for loving on me. Thank you for sending me beautiful love notes to apologize for your people. I love you for that. And please know this. We're so close. We're close. The times are changing. You know, our children will be able to not have to deal with daughters of the Confederacy spitting lies and books, doing their thing on us, right? And we'll be able to have generational wealth when we learn how to bring in money from what we know, not what we do. And that is the game. That's my focus for you, sis. Is that we learn how to do that, and you have a safe space to discover different aspects of you, to hear from other Black women, to talk it through, to learn things, you know, and I just need you to stay with me. Okay, to stay with me and share the word. I need you to help me reach ours. I know they're there, but I need to get to us. So if you have a Black woman that you know would benefit from this word, please tag her. If you're part of a community or sorority or a church, let them know I got a potty mouth him. God loves me, forgive me, and hear the word. Ignore the messenger, get the message. You know, share the video, share the podcast, subscribe to the Hot Mess Millionaire podcast. Stay with me. Again, I'm not confident. I don't know how much time I got before they're like, oh, hell no, she done gone Farrakhan on us. And it's not even, I'm being silly about it. But I just want you to know that they're watching me. And sometimes I'm kind of flattered. I never imagined that they would even be interested in what I have to say. I never saw that coming. I'm like, white people are interested in what I have to say? Okay. I mean, and so I don't know. And I'm saying the right people who are allies, you're welcomed here. If you love us, you're welcomed here. So please don't hear it like bleh, hear it like honest. Okay, you're included in a conversation that most Black people would never let you hear. But I'm not afraid. There's no fear in me. Okay, those who are with us, you're welcomed. Those who are not, perhaps they'll get educated. Who knows? Anyway, this is Dr. Beanie, your hot mess millionaire. Thank you for hearing my word. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for accepting me just the way I am, flaws and all. And I am excited to read your comments, to see what you think. And please make sure you sign up for my app startup list so I can keep in touch with you as we get closer and closer and closer to launching. It's getting amazing. It's gonna be amazing. I have the sales page, it's pretty. It's just so great. It's just great. It's great. Anyway, I love you, sis. I love you, bro. I love you, fam. I love you, allies. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. God is faithful. Goodbye for now.